Okay, so in anticipation of class on Tuesday, I want you to think back to when we started our spring courses, all the way back this past Monday. And at that point, you got in class and you looked around at each other and said, I haven't seen some of you since last December. I suspect that you haven't thought about some of the conversations that you had in some of those December classes since then either. And so what I'd like to do is to go back to some of the material that you talked about from September to December in your Fall 1 and Fall 2 classes, and then also to think about some of the new ideas that you had, conversations you had with class students from other degree areas in social change and OB2. And I hope that as we come into this term that there are some things that stand out for us as things we remember, things that we learned, but also that we're clear about what else we still want to learn, or what things were surprises for us. And so I handed out to some folks this morning, and the rest of you will see on Monday, this chart. And I'm going to ask you to complete it by the time you come to class on Tuesday afternoon. The question is, what do you remember, or what sticks out from the program so far? And you've got some columns here: themes, recurring themes, ideas, questions you have, controversies you are grappling with, values that you're developing or you're becoming more clear about, skills that you've either learned or still want to learn. What have you learned so far? And what does this mean as we come into this classroom on Tuesday? So please complete this in time for class on Tuesday so that we can start to work with it. And let me tell you where we're going. Where we're going with this form is a conversation that leads us into what we'll be covering in the course, Design Concepts and Evaluation. Some of the readings that we had for this week, there were a lot of readings for this week, and they covered what I thought was some pretty interesting questions about theory to practice, about how people learn, what is the purpose of education, who are the learners, and should we approach learners differently depending on who they are and how they learn? What should students learn? How do we look at assessment, and how do we evaluate what we're trying to teach students? What's the role of schools or the role of communities? And a part that was also in your reading has to do with the stakeholders. What's the role of faculty in a learning environment? Who knows best what the student needs? The students, the parents, the teachers, the administrators, the student affairs folks, community members. All of these people have a stake in what happens in our classrooms, on our educational adventures. So we want to spend some time with these big questions, not only on Tuesday afternoon, but as the backdrop for what we're going to do for the next 12 weeks. So if you would do me the huge favor of jotting down some notes on this form. You'll be given a hard copy, and we'll make sure that it's on Moodle as well, if you want to just take it from there. Bring it with you to class on Tuesday, and that'll be our starting point. Okay? And then we'll come back to some of these questions and tie them into our reading, and then we'll take a look at the Morocco experience and take a look at the different stakeholders involved in that and what that was like as a learning activity and a mobility program as well. So have a great weekend, folks, and I'll see you on Tuesday.